605 BC. Gabriel said, okay, from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the abomination makes desolate what? Abomination, desolation, the house of God. So Gabriel said, from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away until the Temple Mount is desecrated, the house of God is desecrated, shall be 1,290 days. So that's 1,290 years. From 605 BC, 1,290 years later, the Temple Mount will be desolate. It'll be an abomination set up in the house of God on the Temple Mount. Got your calculator? Put in 1,290. 1,290. Subtract the year 605 BC. And you come up with the year of 685 AD. What's that mean, preacher? Well, you go check history. In 685 AD, they started building the Muslim Dome of the Rock that sits there right now. The exact time Gabriel said they would. Then Gabriel said, but blessed is he that waiteth. He's alive. Blessed is he that cometh, sees 1,305 and 35 days. So blessed is he that sees 1,335 years later. You add 1,335 to 685, and you get the year of 2020. Oh, preacher, what are you saying? Jesus said, this generation shall not pass. All right, I'm going to be done in 15 minutes. I got to, all right? Jesus said, this generation shall not pass until all be fulfilled. What generation? The generation that saw the Jews get Jerusalem back. The Jews have got Jerusalem 3 times. King David, after Joshua got them there. Nehemiah. Okay? And in what year? 1948. No, 1948. Watch. They declared independence, became a nation. But they didn't get Jerusalem. Jerusalem was divided. They didn't get Jerusalem until 1967. So how long is the generation? From 1967. You figure up how long generation. Jesus said everything's going to be fulfilled by then. How long is generation? You don't know because there's so many answers. 40, 70, 72, 100, 120. Everybody's got answers. And all 5 of those numbers can be found in the Word of God. So what you have to do is you have to get an average. All right? I love numbers. Everybody's talking about, Mo, you got a good head for numbers. I don't know how it happened. It happened. I knew it when I was a kid. It's just crazy. All right? It's a gift of God. Thank to God be all the glory. Get your calculator. How long is generation? Well, 4,000 years from Adam to Jesus. Everybody got it? Put in 4,000. We're going to look for the average generation, length of a generation. We got 4,000. So how many generations is there from Adam to Jesus? Well, Genesis chapter 5 and then Matthew 1. You'll find 77. So you take 4,000 and you divide by 77. Divide it by 77. And you get 51.9480519, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, now let me show you. Watch. Put it up there so you don't get messed up. 51.9480519. Got to double check. Let's go from Abraham to Jesus. Now we'll go from Adam to Jesus, we stop. Abraham to Jesus, we stop. Fewer years with Abraham, fewer generations. But you have to come up with the exact same number. Because it's an average. So if you go to Matthew chapter 1, you find the number of generations there are only 42. So what do? You take 2,000, clear off your calculator, 2,160 years from Abraham to Jesus, and divide by 42. And you have to come up with 51.9480519. But you don't. You come up with 51.4285714. What? 51.4285714. A mathematical impossibility. We've got the exact same stopping point, Jesus. The average generation has to be the same number. I thought I'd found a mathematical error, seriously. But then I realized, wait a minute. You cannot start counting Adam's generations till after the fall. So clear off your calculator. Don't put any numbers yet, let me tell you. And because of time, listen to me. Just trust me on this one, all right? If I need to prove it, I will, all right? Adam and Eve, before the fall, was in the garden for 40 years. So you cannot subtract, you cannot divide 4,000. You have to put in 3,960 and divide by 77. And lo and behold, there it is. The exact same number to 7 decimal points. 40 is the number of probation. Adam and Eve was in the garden for 40 years. Now here's a kicker. I'm not wearing my jewelry today. I feel plumb naked. But if you do a wedding, or you see a wedding done, preacher takes a wedding band, holds it up and says, this wedding band you're about to exchange rings is in a circle of eternity that begin to end. Eternity is always like this, no beginning to end. So there's a number that God gives to everything. So what's the number of eternity? People say, oh, zero. Zero is not a number, it's an amount. The number for a circle is 360. Right. Which is the same number of days in the Jewish calendar year. And every 7th year they had 13 months. Because they had a 30-day month every 7th year, because they've been taking off the 5.25 years for 6 years, and 6 times 5 is 30, so the extra 13th month catches them back up on track. God's plan. Okay? So watch. 360, put that in your calculator. 360 is the number for eternity. What's God's number of finish, completion? Remember last night? What's God's number of completion? Take eternity and divide by God being done. Divide by 7. Now you got a kick in the head. Exact same number. And Jesus said, the generation shall not pass. There's your average length of a generation. So now hit plus. With that number on your screen, hit plus. And add 1967. And you come up with the year 2018. The generation ended November the 10th of 2018, and we started into a cycle. If you go back and check, 18 months, a year and a half before the pandemic, and things went into a tailspin, we're in the last cycle. And don't leave here and tell anybody I said we missed the rapture. That ain't what I said. Okay? We're in the last cycle. But this is what you need to know. Okay? And I'm going to quit. If you understand the book of Daniel, then you understand that this thing is all about Israel. Now watch. And I'm sorry I've run out of time. Okay? Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. Saw a stick man. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream and had a vision and saw an image. Nebuchadnezzar called the dream interpreters, the magicians before him, and said, I had a dream and I need you to explain it to me. Go read Daniel chapter 2. I've got to quit. Trust me, I could go 6 more hours. He said, tell me. They said, tell us a dream. And he said, I forgot it. They said, what? Daniel chapter 2. He said, you tell me the dream and tell me what it means. They said, King, we can't do that. He said, I'll kill all of you. Go read it and turn your house into a dunghill. I'm going to put a toilet on top of your house, where your house was. Everybody's going to use the bathroom on it. You better tell me the dream. And he starts wiping them out. And Daniel comes in and says, whoa, easy, homie. I got you. And Daniel is in captivity for years, and Nebuchadnezzar's the one that done it. In chapter 2, Daniel says, you had a dream of an image that had a gold head. The image that Nebuchadnezzar saw is about control of the Middle East. The arms and the chest were silver. The stomach was brass. The legs were iron. And the feet were iron and clay. I gotta quit. I know y'all don't want me to, but I got to. I gotta be at church tonight. All right. Daniel said, "O king," he said, "you're the king of kings." Now, when he said he's the king of kings, if you go look at that, the translation of King James translator, he said, "You're the king of all the kings of the earth. There's none greater than you on the earth." He wasn't calling him Jesus. And some goofballs have tried to translate that. But he said, you're controlling this right here. Babylon. Okay? Which is Iraq. You ever notice sometimes when I'm writing, I'll put the last letter before that. I have read Hebrew so long, sometimes I spell backwards. It cracks me up. Oh, it's still yet to this day. Cracks me up. Okay? He said this kingdom after you're gone will be defeated. Okay? And it's going to be taken over by the silver. All right? Which is Persia. SIE. All right? Translate that. Which is Iran. Then they're going to be defeated by the brass, which is the Grecian Empire, which is where Greek mythology comes from. Greek mythology was not mythology. It was as real as us sitting here. They were not mythological beings. They were fallen angels that had not been bound at that point. That's why Apollo is mentioned in Revelation chapter 9. They will be loosed in the last days, in which I think, shut up, Rennie. All right? Then the Grecian Empire shall be destroyed by the Roman Empire, which are the legs. So why the legs? Because in the year 6 AD, the Roman Empire divided. So there's two legs. And iron was the legs. Why? Because Christianity is always represented by iron. Okay? He shall rule with them with a rod of iron. That's whatever. Islam, which is the problem in the world today, the problem is Islam. The problem is Islam. Is represented by clay. And the last thing he said is the feet were iron and clay, which is a mingling of Christianity and Islam. February the 4th of 2019, the current Pope, Pope Francis, signed an agreement and a peace treaty with the Islamic Imam. And Pope Francis agreed that there's more ways to God than Jesus. And in Dubai, this month, they're opening and dedicating 3 large skyscrapers. One for Judaism, one for Christianity, and one for Islam. Mingling together. Okay? But now, the gold head, Nebuchadnezzar, is the one that stopped the daily sacrifice. Okay? The daily sacrifice. Now from the time, it's all there. Okay? The daily sacrifice was stopped in 605 BC. Israel was destroyed. Jerusalem was restored in 586 BC. And from 586 BC until 1948, Israel never had their own country. Not even when Jesus is here. 1948. Right there. Never had it. From 586 BC until 1948, the spirit that destroyed Jerusalem held them captive all those years, which was the gold head. Okay? Now, the gold head, that spirit, held them captive. Guys, I'm trying my best, but I don't want y'all to miss this, okay? Let me get you right here. Okay? I had to finish that, all right? I'm done. I told you I'd be done in 12:45, and I got 5 minutes, and I can do it. The spirit of the gold. And Daniel said, by the way, Nebuchadnezzar, if you go read it, the dream you saw, then there's a stone comes rolling down out of Babylon, hits it at its feet, the iron and clay. And the image falls, and the stone goes to the whole earth like a mountain is raised up. That stone is the Rock of Ages that knocks down the mingling of the Middle East, of Christianity and Islam, and takes over. That's the coming of Jesus Christ. That Daniel, that Nebuchadnezzar read about, that Daniel interpreted. Here's what's crazy. You know how good God is? The spirit of gold held them captive from 586 BC until 1948. The spirit of what?
Gold.
The spirit of gold held them captive. Hey Siri, what's the melting point of gold?
The melting point of gold is 1,948 degrees Fahrenheit.
The spirit of gold took down Jerusalem and held them captive, but when the melting point came, they became a nation in one day.
Come on. That's good.
You can't make that up. Only a God, divine and all-knowing, can orchestrate that.
That's right.
So here's what I need to tell you. I gotta quit. I've been here almost 2 hours. Those of you on the internet, don't run off. We're going to take an offering, and you not be a mooch. You need to give.
Come on.
All right? No, I'm going to. No, give. Here's what I need you to do. I need you, if at all possible, watching by internet or here, today, go join the Zarephath Network. Go join so you can get word. Not that you don't get in your church, not that you don't get it from your pastor, but God has, to God be all the glory, has blessed the Caldwell family. And I'm telling you, some of the greatest preachers you'll hear in America is in my family. My brothers, astounding preachers. Astounding. Harold Lois, astounding. So here's what I want to say to you. Go join. Do that. Be faithful in your giving now, because the economy is going to crumble. Look at me. It's going to crumble. Don't that worry you? Not in the least. Why? Because when the Jews, God's people, were in Egypt, they were in the land of Goshen. When the tough times hit, the real hard plagues, it didn't even affect them. It didn't even cover their land. And the Egyptians couldn't figure it out. Why? Because God protects them. David said, I was young, now I'm old, never seen the righteous forsaken. See, make a bread. The only way to make it through a collapsed economy is to be faithful to the kingdom of God. Not just me, your whole church. Okay? So listen to me. Internet, thank you for joining. There's people that are watching the internet right now on the East Coast and on the West Coast. They're watching right now, and some in Jerusalem. Friends of mine. Okay, they watch every time I put up anything, and I added this to my page, and they watch. Go check them out. Right? There's preachers that watch me that don't even like me. But I see your name on there anyway. Okay? So watch. Get word in you. If you attend a church that does not teach the Word of God, get out. Because you need to work. So I'm telling you, go join. Go join. Do at least a student level so you have the previous year. If you can partner with us, $100 a month, do that. We're not struggling, not going under. But the only way that's this teaching that I'm doing, don't get took down off YouTube, internet, Instagram, off Facebook. The only way to do it is on our own subscription network. It's the only way. So if you're going there and you can partner with us, do that. Do that. If you can't, that's fine. I said, well, I can't afford it. Well, maybe you should be more faithful with your tithe. I don't know. Because he'll keep the devourer away from your door. I have people ask me many times before, I need you to pray for my finances. You know the first thing I say? Are you a tither? Well, we don't. Well, then I'm not praying for you. What? I'm not praying for you. You're wasting my time. Okay? Well, we haven't because we can't afford to. Well, that's why you can't afford to, because you don't. Well, I can't give. I'm behind on my bills already. Well, good God, if you're behind already, for God's sakes, apparently what you're doing ain't working out. Seriously. So I'm just saying, give. Do it here today. Do it online. Go join this.